Hi crafters, and welcome to Creative Moments by G. I'm G, and today I'm going to share with you a tutorial on how to create a double fan fun fold. Now I know that's a mouthful, and it is such a beautiful card that you're going to think possibly it's a little too hard, but it is so easy and it makes such a statement. So let's head down to the crafting table and let's get busy. Let me show you this card. Look how cute this card is. And it stands up. So watch this. See how it stands up? And when it stands up, this is what it looks like. It kind of spreads out. You might think that this is a difficult card to make, but it really isn't. Look at this. Once you expand it, you can see that we have simply made some score lines in the shape of a diamond, and that's why it's called a diamond fan. So, let me show you how to make this card. The first thing you'll need to do, as I always say, is decide on your color palette. Now look at what I have selected to work with today. Look at this beautiful DSP. Love this DSP. Now I picked some additional colors just to make it pop. So I just love those colors. I'm going to use Coastal Cabana for our card. So let's go ahead and cut our base card. Now I want to remind you to stay with me because I will be sharing the card that I showed you, discussing it just a little bit more. Also another card that you can turn into this beautiful diamond fan fun fold. So the first thing you need to do is cut your base card. So if you have this trimmer, go ahead and extend your arm. And we want to cut this at 8 1/4. Now we're going to turn it long ways and we're going to cut it at 5 1/2. These measurements are a little bit different than your normal base card. So now that we have our base card cut exactly the size that we want, we need to go ahead and put some score lines, and it is so easy. So let's go ahead and make a score line at 1 3/8. Now notice that I have turned this paper on the long side. We're going to move it on down to 2 3/4. Now keep your cardstock on your trimmer and let's move it down to 5 1/2. And one more score line at 6 7/8. Now we have our score lines. Let me show you where they are. We have one here, and then on the other side. Now this creates a perfect area for our little note card, or maybe just a mat that you can write your message, or you can decorate. But we need to go ahead and create the diamond ends because this is a diamond fan fun fold. So the way you do that is you put the top left corner in your canal, line it up to the bottom right corner, right here, and then we're just going to put a score line. So that's one side. Now do the other side. Top right with bottom left. Place that little tip right there in the canal and score. And we have this side done. Let's do the exact same score lines over on the other side. So put the top right in the canal, swing the bottom left, and let's go ahead and score. Now we're putting the top left, bottom right. Let's get those points in the canal and score. Okay, we're going to put our trimmer aside. And we are just going to fold in. So take your bone folder and let's crease that first score line. Let's fold in again. Give it a good crease. Let's turn to the other side. We're going to fold in, give it a good crease, and fold in one more time, give it a good crease. And now we want to crease our diamond. So find that score line and just fold it and crease it. Now do the other side. Fold, crease. Okay, so we have this so far. Now we're going to do the other side. Find your score line that created that diamond and just go ahead and give it a good crease. Now, after you crease all your score lines, you can lay this down. Let's go ahead and turn it just so that we can show you how this very naturally wants to do what it's supposed to do. You can just place your fingers right here and bring this down and go ahead and crease it. Okay, so we have this side creased. Turn it over. It already wants to fold the way it's supposed to fold. Bring this in and just push that down and give it a good crease. And now the way it works is it folds back. So let's just lay this down. Let's crease this. And there we have it. You've already created your double fan fun fold. And now all we have to do is decorate it. So let's expand it so that we can decorate it. Let's put it over to the side. And let's go ahead and take our cardstock and our pattern paper and get it cut so that we can line it up right here on our card. Now, this pattern paper right here is what I'm going to use for these side panels. And so you need to cut 2 panels, and those are 2.5 by 5 1/4. So we're going to cut one more panel, 2.5 by 5 1/4. And now we need to make some score lines before we cut this apart. So we are going to make a score line right here down the center, and this is 2.5, so we know that it's going to be 1 1/4. Okay, and now we're just going to crisscross again to give us our score lines. So put the right point in your canal and put your bottom left in the canal and score. Crisscross the other way. Put that in the canal and score. Now, we want to cut this apart, and you want to keep it in the same design that you have. So if it's difficult to see your score lines, which it is kind of, and you have a solid, you can always turn it on the back. That's a great tip because this is Technique Tuesday. So we are going to go ahead and cut this straight down the middle first. And we know it's at 1 1/4. So let's just get that cut. Slice it. Now, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over because I can see my score lines right here. So I'm going to go ahead and line this up right here. And I'm going to slice. So let's just put this right here so we can keep everything in order. Let's just get that right there. Okay, the next one, just going to line it up right where I have my score lines and slice. Okay, let's move this over just a little bit and let's go ahead. You can always fold it if you want so that you know exactly where to cut. You can do that as well. So let's line that up and go ahead and slice. Now, when you have a point that you want to cut, you don't want to start right here because it might tear just a little bit. So it's a good idea to start slicing right in the center. So let's go ahead and get this lined up. And let's keep our blade right in the center and slice up and down. Look at that beautiful design. Very easy to cut. And now all we have to do is glue it down. So I'm going to bring in my tweezers because when you have little pieces like this to glue, as I found out, when you use your fingers, you're going to get glue everywhere. So it's just much easier to use your tweezers to hold this, and then you can just add your glue to it. And look at that. Look at how pretty that is. Now we're going to do the same thing to our other panel. We're going to bring in our trimmer. We are going to score down the middle, which we know is at 1 1/4. Just put a score line, move that blade out of the way, and crisscross. So put opposite corners into your canal and score. And now we can cut. Slice it up and down. I'm going to go ahead and keep this together. Put it right like that. And I'm going to put my corners into the trimmer. I'm going to start in the middle and I'm going to slice up and down. Now, this is just another way to cut it. You can add this right in the center, right at the top, and slice. Same thing on this one. Line it up. Now we're going to add this to the other side. Now we just make sure it folds just like this, and it goes to the back, and then you set it up, and look at that. This is what it looks like. How beautiful is that? Now we need to add our panel right here. So we're going to double mat that. So the size of our middle and back mat, I need to cut this 2.5 by 5 1/4. And then I need to cut the top mat 2 1/4 by 5. Now, I do need to cut one more panel for the back so that you can write your sentiment, and I will not be double matting that. We're going to cut it at 2.5 by 5 1/4. Let's go ahead and lay this one down on the back first. And we want to decorate this, stamp it just a little bit. So I'm going to bring in a piece of paper. I have some beautiful stamps from the Painted Lavender stamp set. I'm going to bring in Pecan Pie, Gorgeous Grape, and Coastal Cabana. And I brought in You Are Simply Marvelous from the stamp set Perennial Postage. So let's go ahead and double mat this and then get it laid down on the front of our card. We have some beautiful gems that go with this bundle. The painted lavender. So we're going to go ahead and use those. And here is our finished product. Here is our card. It fits perfectly in an envelope. You have plenty of room to write, and it looks surprisingly difficult, doesn't it? But it's not. You saw how easy it was to create. It stands up perfectly on your desk, and it looks like this when it stands up. So it shows that beautiful DSP. So now let's go ahead and create one more so that you can see a different design. Now for this one, I'm going to use Stars at Night. I'm going to use the leaves on this. Modern Garden, I'm going to use the flowers. And then Season of Chic, I'm going to use this as a background to really focus in on my sentiment. I'm going to use a lot of inks because I have flowers and leaves that I want to stamp. So we're using Crushed Curry, Lemon Lolly, Garden Green, Pumpkin Pie, and Real Red. Now remember, the first thing you need to do is go ahead and cut your base card. And this is a little different than a normal base card. This is 8 1/4 by 5 1/2. So now we need to make our score lines. So let's go ahead and extend our arm on our trimmer, and let's score at 1 3/8, 2 3/4, 5 1/2, and 6 7/8. Remember, the next thing we need to do is crisscross. So let's go ahead and put the top of this score line in the canal, and we're just going to cross it down to the bottom right. We're going to make a score line. Do the same thing, top to bottom. You're putting opposite corners in your trimmer. And now you have a crisscross. Let's do the other side. Let's go ahead and put the top right here with the bottom in the canal and score. Let's put the top right here and now the opposite corner and score. Now, remember what we do. We grab our bone folder and we turn it into the middle of the card. So let's score there. Turn it to the inside of the card and score. Flip it over and let's do the same thing. Find that score line. Move it into the middle of the card and the same thing. You're going towards the inside of the card. So now we have this. Now we want to crisscross. So we want to find that score line. Go over here, find the score line, and give it a really good crease. Move it to the other side. Find your score line, crease, and one more time. And remember what we said, this very naturally wants to just come in, just like this. So you push it out and you just press this down. Bring those middles in. just like this, and then fold the top down. Okay, and we just expand it because we know that now we're going to use our side panels. We've already cut out some really cute side panels. So we just need to bring in our trimmer, put a score line down the center of each one. Now this one's a little different. We cut it at 2 1/4. So it's going to be 1 1/8. 1 1/8. And we're going to score down the middle. Crisscross opposing corners and score. Now we can go ahead and cut this one. We can cut it just like we did the last one. Now remember, put your blade in the center and cut up and down. And I just go ahead and I keep mine together. I line it up and I just crisscross it, put my opposing corners in, move my blade to the center and cut up and down. Then I have my pieces right here. And now I'm just going to put this right in the center and slice. Now, make sure you start on the center of this because that tip is very fragile. Same thing on this. Line it up. Put your blade in the center and slice up and down. Now we can go ahead and get the other one ready. We're going to score at 1 1/8. And crisscross. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut. Put my blade in the center and slice. I'm going to keep them together. Turn it. Put opposite corners in your canal and slice. And now we're ready to lay down our pieces. So I'm going to bring in my tweezers again. Okay, let's decorate the middle. Bring in my paper. I have these really cute flowers. I'm going to use the lemon lolly to put that highlight I was telling you about so that it really helps us focus on the sentiment. Now let's add that to the center of our card. We're going to flip it over and add a panel of white. But before we do that, let's go ahead and decorate it just a little bit with a sentiment. And a few little flowers. And now let's go ahead, get this folded. And we just fold it back, just like this. And here is what it looks like when it's on the desk. Look how cute that is. And it's not difficult really at all. So here are the 2 cards that we made today. What do you think? Take a moment and let me know which is your favorite of what we made today. Now, remember I said we have this one that I showed you earlier. Look how cute that is. Very masculine, really cute. And then finally, we have this one. We actually ran this through the embossing folder to give it some more texture. And when you put it on your desk, it looks like this. Stands up perfectly, and yet it expands when you put it on your desk. So it is really quite a beautiful picture. So let us know. Take a moment and tell us which is your favorite of these Diamond Fan Fun Folds. Well, we hope you were inspired by this card to show you that although it looks very involved, it's not that hard, has a few score lines, and that's all really. There aren't any cuts on the actual base card. Well, if you were inspired, we would love it if you would take a moment, give us a thumbs up, comment, share, and if you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do that. Well, Maudie and I want you to go out and have a fantastic day, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.